before this lead
This is Wild About Liberty, where the community joins together. Now here's your host, Terry Wild.
Thank you for tuning into our show today. We're excited about our two guests, and we're going to be talking about a topic that's really something that is of concern across the country, and I'm sure in your community as well here in Fresno County. And our two guests today are Dawn Wells. And Dawn, you are the local state representative, or you can explain that to us, for Central Valley Moms for America.
That's right. I run the group Central Valley Moms for America here out of Fresno. We meet on the third Monday of each month, and our meetings are held in downtown Fresno.
Well, you know, our second guest is Laura. How do you pronounce your last name?
Lorna Loera.
Lorna Loera.
Yeah.
So I'm still on training here. This is our second week, and I have that written down phonetically, but I couldn't see it.
Okay.
So you get old, you start to fall apart. But, you know, Lorna, you qualify on a couple of areas. You're a mom.
Yes.
You raised a family.
Yes.
You have outstanding children. I met one of them, and I could talk to him all day long about biblical doctrine. That was so much fun.
And church history is very passionate.
And
about.
you have a distinction. You've been a pastor's wife for over 23 years,
Yeah.
which makes you just about one of the most qualified people in the country. So we're going to be talking to Dawn and finding out more about what you're doing, Dawn, in the Central Valley. So why don't you just give us a little description of Central Valley Moms for America?
So we just got started in August, and we're gathering women who would like to be involved in our movement. And Moms for America is about empowering moms and grandmas and raising patriots and just pushing forward and promoting liberty, which, of course, you're wild about liberty, so it fits right in.
It really does. And, you know, some of the things that are really important right now are the pornography in the schools, the sexualization of our children. I mean, these are things, Lorna, that we would never have thought would ever be possible
No.
in our country. I mean,
Exactly.
who would believe that?
It's hard to believe. Sometimes I think to myself, 10 years ago even,
Yeah.
just as
yeah.
recent as 10 years ago, we would have said, no way would this be something that would be considered okay.
And it's come down on us fast and furious.
Yes.
It's been like an acceleration of this craziness. And so, Dawn, there's so many moms out there asking what they can do, how they can protect their families. So how do you go about advising them? And if they're part of your group, how do you give them the tools to deal with all this stuff?
Yeah, so Moms for America just had a webinar on how to choose the right therapist, and that was very interesting. There were a couple of more conservative therapists that came on, and they gave tips on how to find a therapist if your child is experiencing any emotional difficulty. I mean, a lot of teenagers do go through that. And so Moms for America is definitely on the forefront of what's going on with our social contagion, would you say, of transitioning children. And so they have a partnership with the Epoch Times where they did a gender confusion event. And they had a movie that was shown, a documentary that the Epoch Times made. And then they had a panel of different moms and people that were in the movie. Kimberly Fletcher, the founder of Moms for America, was part of that panel. It's a really interesting dive into detransitioning and the story of one mom. She was a California mom whose daughter was transitioned behind her back at school, and the daughter was removed from the mother's home because she was non-affirming. And the poor girl started puberty blockers and had a mental health crisis and stepped out in front of a train and killed herself. And that mom's story is featured in the documentary that was spoken about. And it's just so traumatic to know that things like that are happening here in California. And we want to be the wall that stops that.
Nice. That is awesome. You know, on yesterday's program, we had a guest call in that I know Lawrence very well, and he and his family, he's an ex-Marine, tough guy. He can deal with almost anything, but he's running for school board. And he said he took the literature that they're proposing to put into the schools, and he said it embarrassed him. It was so
Pornographic.
pornographic.
Yes.
There's no other word for it. And it's like, what do you do if you're a mom and all of a sudden they say, we're going to do this and we're not even going to tell you certain things. So you're providing an organization where people can unite and become equipped.
Right. Yeah. We do a lot of different types of training that helps people know how to talk about these issues that are difficult to discuss from a way that's empathetic, but still telling the truth.
So give us an example. Do you actually take memberships?
So on the website, momsforamerica.us, you can sign up to become a member there, and then they will forward that information to your local area, and you can become a member that way, or you're welcome to just show up at one of our meetings and connect with me that way.
So in the Central Valley, where do you have meetings that people could go to?
So our meetings are located at 2983 Tulare Street in downtown Fresno. It's across from the IHOP. And we meet on the third Monday of each month at 6 p.m. And our next meeting we're calling Mom's Giving. So we're going to have a Thanksgiving potluck. Fun.
I like that.
And we'd love for you and your family to join us if you're not busy on Monday.
What other locations, though, throughout the Central Valley?
So we're looking for a way to expand into other communities. If anybody wants to host cottage meetings, that's what we call our trainings that we have in person locally, our cottage meetings. And there's a series of 12 cottage meetings in the first series of meetings. And then there's another series of 12 and another series of 12 to cover a year. And so we are on our second session, and we're just raring to go, learning about the Constitution and the founding of America and why we need to fight back against Marxism, communism, and, like Mao in China had his version of communism. There's a lot of things that happen in our culture that we learn about so that we don't forget our history, so we're not doomed to repeat it.
Well, Lorna, since you have almost nothing to do and you're just idly spending your time every day, we could start one right here.
Yeah, sure.
Where does she sign up? But we really should try and ask some people that we work with. You know the people we work with.
Yes.
Let's get them on board. Let's start a Clovis chapter.
Yeah, I'm sure we could do that if there's a time that's good for people to meet. I'm happy to get that going.
Well, if you're listening and you think this is a good idea, then give Dawn a contact. So the website again is...
So momsforamerica.us is the website, but I'm happy to give out my phone number if anybody wants to text me.
Yeah, please do.
You can text me at 559-349-0574. If you want to text Moms for America, all you do is text MOMS to 53445. Also, you can find Moms for America on any of your podcast networks. They have a wonderful podcast.
Well, Lawrence is a brilliant guy, and Hebron, and he mentioned that in the development of communism, socialism, Marxism, everything always leads to the children. It ends up, they go for the children.
Yeah, even Hitler knew that you had to go for the children.
So what you're doing, and Central Moms for America is really a frontline organization to attack and to resist at the very level that they're trying to get our kids. They're trying to indoctrinate them. So tell us a little bit more about how you equip people.
So we say that liberty begins at home, and that's the best place for teaching your kids about faith, virtues, about the founding of America. So part of Moms for America has a homeschool offshoot, Mom to Mom. They do a podcast once a month. And they also have recommended homeschool curriculum on the website. There's also children's information, trips that you can take with your family to help you learn about things that happened in your area of historical value. And then in our cottage meetings, we equip moms to educate their children and their families about different aspects of liberty and about the founding of America and about virtues. And like our last meeting, we had the pillars of liberty, which are faith, virtue, and patriotism. We went over that. And we also went over communist goals and the 45 goals of communism. So that helps you become equipped and to see what's happening in today's America.
I think that's so important because when you study that, you'll recognize the signs. And because it gets slipped in so gradually, sometimes that's what we were saying earlier. 10 years ago, we would have never expected to see what we're seeing now. But it's such a slow indoctrination, very intentional, in my opinion, that they did it this way. And, we've gotten to a place in our nation where they're erasing real history. And we have a whole generation of people who really don't understand anything about the history of our nation. And something that has been concerning me for a while, especially in the last few years when we've seen the young people marching in the streets and tearing up cities and things like that. We have a generation of young people who will not fight for this nation. Think about that. How scary is that? Because when our nation has been in peril and in past years, there were generations that ran to the enlistment office to say, I'm not going to sit by and watch my nation get attacked or get torn apart. But they were willing to fight for their nation. We've got a whole generation that's not willing to do that because they've been told our country is racist and all kinds of different bad things. Now, is our nation perfect? Absolutely not, especially right now. But we're still the best nation in the entire world. That's why people are flooding across our borders, because it's still the best place to live. Mm-hmm. And so it's super important that our young people understand. They need to know the Constitution. They need to know the foundation of our nation so that they will understand, yes, our country has troubles, but it's still worth fighting for. And honestly, I mean, and you can scale that back even to our state. I cannot tell you how many of my friends have fled our state in the last 5 years. Yeah. And our church, my husband was pastoring in San Jose. We had financial hardship because of that. There were families fleeing, especially because the Bay Area, the housing is, through the roof. And so people were cashing out on their properties and retiring in other states. You can't retire in California.
You couldn't find a moving van anywhere.
And the young people, yes, that's another thing. And the young people, this state, the state of California, is running our seniors and our young people out of our state. And believe me, I've thought too, gosh, I wouldn't mind going too. This state's gone to pot. But for goodness sakes, let's fight for our state. Let's try to reclaim it. It's gone really down the toilet.
So one of the problems we have is that people don't turn out to vote. Mm-hmm. And women, Christians, if we all got up and went out and voted, that we could really make a difference. So one of the things Moms for America has done is partnered with Turning Point to do Mom Vote, to get out the vote of mothers, because we need to preserve parental rights and bring back some virtue to our society. And one way to do that is to choose elected officials that promote parents' rights and stand for the values that we have. And so no more sitting on the couch. Get out there and campaign for people and get people elected. Make sure your friends are turning in their ballots. Make sure everyone's vote is counted accurately. We want people to be part of the civics in our nation. Get out there and be part of it. Don't just, be apathetic and let it go by.
Yeah, and people are looking for solutions. They're looking for answers, and it's really encouraging that you guys are doing this, and other groups are rising up, taking action. So I think one of the phrases that I was given to use about a year ago for Liberty Coalition was, well, just ask people, have you had enough? Have you had enough yet? And at the time, they didn't. There wasn't that much involvement. There wasn't that much commitment. But now I see that there are a lot of people getting involved, and they're looking for ways to do that. So, Moms for America, to me, is you're shooting at the exact right target. You're trying to deal with the exact right problem where it matters maybe the most. And if we didn't have this, then they're free to indoctrinate our kids any way they want. So I encourage you, if you're listening and you care and you want something that you can do that's going to be effective, then give Dawn a call or go to the website. One more time, what's the website?
Momsforamerica.us is the national website. There's a ton of information on there. I mean, you could be on there for hours looking at all the great stuff that's on there. So I encourage you to check it out.
Well, tell us a little bit more. So you have a form of membership. You're going to be setting up other groups in other locations. So are you active, say, in Selma, Reedley, Kingsburg?
So we'd like to be active across the Central Valley. I'm open to coming and speaking to groups in this area if they would like a speaker. Also, I'm open to helping people start up cottage meetings in their area.
Now, what is a cottage meeting? How do you?
So the cottage meetings are a series of 12 meetings that you host in your home. They call it Tupperware for Liberty. And you just, have some snacks, have a few friends over, and there's these videos and questions, and there's curriculum for the kids if you want it. And it's just a way to really connect with people in your local area. That's what I do in downtown Fresno, is I have cottage meetings where people connect with each other. But I'm also happy to help people start them in other areas. So we have a big area to cover. The Central Valley is not a small place. And so we're going to need our cottage meetings to be in different locations. I chose downtown Fresno because it's close to the freeway, so that people from other areas, if they wanted to join me, they could. But I'm happy to help you get started in an outlying area if you don't feel like coming to downtown Fresno.
Well, a couple of years ago when we were involved with Kevin Cookingham, he was running for Congress, and we were trying to find out how we can reach people in the middle of COVID, the lockdown, all that craziness. And so I came up with an idea that I called home presentation meetings. So the cottage thing, which is a short, concise name. I love it. But one of the things I thought would be effective is, so you have this group of people in the home. What are you thinking, around 12, 15 people?
Yeah, 12 disciples is always good, right?
Exactly. But then make that a Zoom meeting.
So we do have all the cottage meetings online for people who live in an area where they don't have people to connect with, but it's just not as personal, and you're not really able to talk about your local issues. with something like that, which is why I have an in-person meeting. But we also have the nationwide group hosts cottage meetings for everyone. So if you live in an area where you don't have 12 friends to hang out with you, or two, you know, you can go online and participate in those cottage meetings. You can watch them any time of day, you know, from your bathtub or in your pajamas in bed, wherever you're comfortable. But I mean, the information is out there for you to obtain if you don't want to come in person and join me.
Well, you know, the other thing is, you know, there's different models that have been successful doing that with the cottage program. Amway, for example. So in our younger days, first getting married, going to church, all of a sudden everybody's wanting to draw circles in your living room. And so they get 10, 15 people in a home meeting, they draw circles, and then they sell what they can sell. But then they ask people, would you host the meeting in your neighborhood? And I thought that's a really good approach. You know, we're not selling product. We're not trying to get people's money. But while you hold the cottage meetings, then you get 1 or 2 or 3 people out of 15 to hold a meeting in their homes. And that becomes exponentially incredible. Mm-hmm. You know, you run the numbers on that, and you're getting up to tens of thousands of people pretty quick.
Right. So Moms for America has cottage meetings all over the place. So all over the country, there's different people meeting together to preserve their culture in their collective neighborhoods. But we need to be preserving what's happening here, right? So we just had the Parents' Rights or the Parents Matter Act in the county.
Tell us about that.
Right? So we went to that. We went and observed. There wasn't enough time for speakers, so we weren't able to speak. But it's nice to see that somebody's finally standing up and doing something about the pornography in our children's section of the library. So we thought we should go there and support somebody doing that. So we showed up, and we're there to show up for other things. We go to school board meetings when you need support. Most of all, we want to know what's going on in your area, right? Let me know what's going on so we can be there to support you. There's a lot going on in different schools. I've heard about furries in the kindergarten class who, you know, identify as animals instead of humans. And I've heard of litter boxes in the school bathrooms. And there's all kinds of interesting things going on in our community that we need to address.
Stupid is what stupid does, isn't it? It's just absolutely crazy.
So it's definitely here. You know, the crazy stuff is here. Bring it to our attention so we can help you resolve it.
But what a way to organize. You know, the moms, you know, you mess with the kids, you have to deal with the moms. And it's so encouraging that this is taking place, that you're doing what you're doing. But I really see the opportunity in that whole cottage program to get more people involved and give them a way that makes a big difference. I mean, They would be making a huge difference by connecting with your organization, setting up the cottage programs within their homes, and then making that whole thing develop and grow based on just sheer numbers. It's proven. It's a proven plan that has worked successfully. Why not apply it?
Mm-hmm. And
so,
you could be a grandma. You don't have to just only be a parent, but grandparents are welcome to join, aunts, uncles. You know, we have great educational forums for everyone. You don't have to be female to attend one of our webinars or listen to our podcast. You know, there's a lot of information out there that's great for any parent, any grandparent that's out there. And you don't have to be parenting at the moment to start a cottage meeting. You can have a grandparents' cottage meeting, whatever works best for you and your community.
Well, you know, the difficulty that we're facing is we're being hit from so many different sides all at the same time. It's hard to know how to respond and react to the different problems that they're throwing at our
Right. And
Got
some
it.
people just get mad and do nothing, which is not very effective. So get mad and do something.
So, in your experience as a mom, when you have dealt like with other people in a social setting, people like to get together. There's just a social component to this thing that is worth doing, whether you're associated with a cause or not. So it could be a very rewarding time just to socially get together and be part of this.
It's very encouraging to be with like-minded women who understand what we're fighting for and who can commiserate with the difficulties that you have in this culture that's just being eroded. The family values are being eroded wildly in California, and parents' rights are being attacked every day in our legislature. So it's very important at a time like this for parents to really unite with one another and find that empowerment that comes from fellowship.
I think it's important too to get the information out there because, right now, a lot of the things that we see happening in our nation, it's so discouraging, and I think the result of that can be that we choose to just check out, and I think like it can be human nature. I think that until something directly affects me, it's not something I want to involve myself with, and I think about that in regards to what's happening in our public schools. I think that a lot of parents who would normally be very upset about some of the things that are actually happening are choosing to just turn a blind eye for now because it's not directly affecting their family yet. Their child hasn't come home yet and said, this is what they're telling me at school. And I wanted to share with you that I knew I was coming here. So this morning I texted our daughter who has one child, and she is in kindergarten, and she's in the Fresno school district here. And so I texted my daughter, and I said, I asked her, I was telling her, things are a lot different. When we were raising our kids, we had a lot of concerns back then, and that was a long time ago. I mean, my daughter, who I'm about to tell you about, she's 31 years old now, and she. We homeschooled the kids, and at that time, what I heard over and over and over again from people when they would say, they'd tell our kids, what school do you go to? And the kids would go, I'm homeschooled. And the very next thing was the people would turn to me and go, what about socialization? And aren't you concerned? And I'm like, you know what? Actually, I don't believe that they're supposed to get their socialization from school. They get that at church. In the Girl Scouts, they get that in soccer and all the different things we have them involved in. But when I have them in class, I expect them to be focused on their arithmetic and their reading and their writing and the things that they're supposed to be learning in school. And so that, I just felt so strongly that was, I should say my husband and I felt so strongly that is the route that we were supposed to take with our family. And as it turned out, in fact, I'll just tell you this, when we told family members that we had decided to homeschool, I had a relative say to me, well, we'll see how they turn out, because she couldn't talk me off the ledge, But, and it's funny because now I feel so proud of how they turned out. They are good, solid people. They love the Lord. They love their country. They love their families. They're great parents. I am so proud of how they turned out. And nice. and so it's kind of funny because as a homeschooler, I loved teaching them history and civics. I loved teaching that to them. And it's really funny because when I was young myself, oh my word, I kept flunking that class. I hated history. I used to think to myself, what does this have to do with me now? Like, why do I need to learn this? But as an adult, I realized, oh my word, this is so important. And yes. It's so important. And it became fun for me. So, our kids they're very happy. They love our nation. And But I reached out to my daughter this morning and I said to her, I asked her, what are her biggest concerns for her daughter now growing up in America today and what it looks like today. And I'll just share she gave me permission to share her answer. She said, well, I have a lot of concerns. Big ones are teaching her purity and modesty in a world that confuses promiscuity as strength. Making sure she understands her value, not just in Christ, but how Christ made her exactly how she's supposed to be. In regards, and then she put in regards to gender confusion. Trying to teach her about what the Bible considers sin, but also that we are called to love like Jesus did, hate the sin and love the sinner. Walking the tightrope between preparing her for things she may hear and see in school and maintaining her innocence for as long as possible. Kids these days are exposed to too much, too early. Are we out of time?
Yeah.
Oh.
I hate to cut you off.
No
I
worries.
wanted to hear all of that, but we're closing out now, and what a blessing to be with both of you today. And we want people to be involved with your organization, Dawn, and we'll try and get the word out as much as we can.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on the program. And Lorna, we hope you're going to be a fixture here and really think you've got a lot to say and contribute, and you've had enough experience where you could really lead people effectively. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Please tune in and listen to our program tomorrow. We've got a great show with Tom Summers, Bill Smith-Camp, and Jimmy Foote. Our co-host is Ellen Autry. See you tomorrow. God bless.